Hey, we're back with the fir tree. So far, we know that it's fully decorated, it's in this grand room, and it thinks that other fir trees are going to come and watch it. But is that the case? We're going to find out soon. It was not a bad guess, but the fir tree had real bark ache from the sheer longing. And bark ache in trees is just as bad as headache in human beings. I didn't know that. New information, take note. At last, the candles were lighted with glittering splendor. The tree quivered so much in all its branches that one of the candles singed a twig. "Take care!" cried one of the young ladies, and they extinguished that candle. Thank God, we wouldn't want to burn down the house, right? Now the tree did not even dare to quiver. It was really terrible. It was so afraid of losing any of its ornaments, and it was quite bewildered by the radiance. Then the folding doors were opened, and a crowd of children rushed in. So excitedly, it seemed as if they would overturn the whole tree, while the older people followed more calmly. The children stood perfectly still, but only for a moment, and then they started to shout with excitement and dance around the tree and snatch off one present after another. They seem to be a bit of a badly behaved group of kids, right? There's no need to snatch, everyone's got a gift, right? What are they doing? Thought the tree. Yeah, same. What is going to happen? Same. The candles burned low on the branches and were put out one by one, and then the children were given permission to plunder the tree. They rushed at it so that all its branches creaked. If it had not been fastened to the ceiling by the gold star, it would have toppled over. The children danced around with all their splendid toys, and no one looked at the tree except the old nurse, who came and poked among the branches just to see if by chance a fig or an apple had been forgotten. A story, cried the children, and dragged a stout little man to the tree. He sat down beneath it, saying, "Here we are in the green wood, and the tree will be delighted to listen. But I'm only going to tell one story. Shall it be Chicken Little or Humpty Dumpty, who fell down the stairs and yet won great honors and married a princess?" "Chicken Little," cried some. "Humpty Dumpty," cried others. There was absolute bedlam. Only the fir tree kept silent and thought, am I not to be in it? Am I not to have nothing to do with it? Imagine just standing there like a tree while everybody around you is creating all of this ruckus, is so excited to be near the Christmas tree, but you can't do anything about it. This also reminds me, do you remember the story of Chicken Little? I hope you guys have been careful and not just following anybody blindly and thinking for yourself, because that's what Chicken Little didn't do and got into trouble. Also, what's a bedlam? A bedlam is like this uproar, this noise. It's typically how you behave when your teacher steps out of the classroom and you have all your friends talking loudly and you guys are shouting. It's perfect that way. But not when classes are going on, because in a school, there's no need to disturb everybody else, right? But it had already been in it and played out its part, and the man told them about Humpty Dumpty, who fell down the stairs and married a princess. The children clapped their hands and cried, "Another, another!" They wanted the story of Chicken Little too, but they had to be satisfied with Humpty Dumpty. The fir tree stood quite astonished and thoughtful. The birds in the forest had never related anything like that. Humpty Dumpty fell downstairs and yet married a princess. Yes, that is the way of the world, thought the tree, and was sure it must be true, because such a nice man had told the story. Well, who knows? Perhaps I shall fall downstairs and marry a princess. And it rejoiced, thinking that next day it would be decked out again with candles and toys, tinsel and fruit. Tomorrow I shall quiver again with excitement. I shall enjoy my splendor. Tomorrow I shall hear Humpty Dumpty again, and perhaps Chicken Little too. And the tree stood silent and thoughtful through the night. Next morning the servants came in. Now the decorating will begin again, thought the tree. But they dragged it out of the room and up the stairs to the attic, where they put it in a dark corner where no ray of light could penetrate. "What does this mean?" said the tree. "What am I to do here? What am I to hear?" And it leaned against the wall and thought and thought. There was time enough for that, for days and nights went by, and no one came up. At last, when someone did come up, it was only to put some boxes away. Now the tree was so hidden, it seemed as if it had been completely forgotten. Well, Christmas was over, they decided to put the tree back in the attic, because obviously you can't keep Christmas trees when it's not Christmas time. So what will happen to the fir tree? It is winter outdoors now, thought the fir tree. The ground is hard and covered with snow. They cannot plant me at this time, and that is why I am here, staying under the cover till spring. How thoughtful they are. Only I wish it were not so terribly dark and lonely here. Not even a little hare. It was so nice out in the forest when the snow lay on the ground and the hare raced past me. Yes, even they leaped over me, but I didn't like it then. The loneliness up here is more than I can stand. "Squeak, squeak," said a little mouse, scampering out, followed by a second. They sniffed at the fir tree, then crept between its boughs. "It's frightfully cold," said the little mice. "How nice it is here to be. Don't you think so too, little old fir tree?" "I'm not at all old," said the tree. "There are many, much older than I am." "Where do you come from?" asked the mice. "And what do you know?" They were extremely inquisitive. Inquisitive, somebody who asks a lot of questions. And if you want to get ahead in life, you definitely need to ask a lot of questions so that you get the right kind of answers, or basically just answers to things. Do tell us about the most beautiful place in the world. Is that where you come from? Have you been in the storeroom where the cheeses lie on the shelves and hams hang from ceiling? Where one dances on tallow candles and where one goes in thin and comes out fat? "I know nothing about that," said the tree, "but I know the forest where the sun shines and the birds sing." And then it told them about its young days, and the little mice had never heard anything like that before. "Oh," they said, "how much you have seen! How happy you must have been!" "I," said the fir tree, and then thought it over. Yes, on the whole, those were very happy times. But it went on to tell them about the Christmas Eve when it had been adorned with sweets and candles. "Oh," said the little mice, "how lucky you've been, old fir tree." "I'm not at all old," said the tree. "I just came out of the forest this winter. I'm just a little backward, perhaps, in my growth." "How beautifully you tell stories," said the little mice. And the next evening they came with 4 others who wanted to hear the tree's story. And it told still more, for it remembered everything so clearly and said those were happy times. But they may come again. Humpty Dumpty fell downstairs and yet again married a princess. Perhaps I shall also marry a princess. And then it thought of a pretty little birch tree that grew out in the forest, and it seemed to the fir tree that it was a real princess, and a very beautiful one too. "Who is Humpty Dumpty?" asked the little mice. And then the tree told the whole story. It could be remembered every single day, and the little mice were ready to leap to the topmost branch out of sheer joy. The next night, many more mice came, and on Sunday, even 2 rats appeared. But they did not care about the story, and that troubled the little mice, for now they thought of it less too. "Is that the only story you know?" asked the rats. The only one, answered the tree. I heard it on one of my happiest evenings, but I did not realize then how happy I was. That's a very dull story. Don't you know one about a bacon or tallow candles, a storeroom story? These are quite demanding mice, considering they've actually never left the attic. No, said the tree. Then we are much obliged to you, said the rats, and they went back to their friends. At last, the little mice also went, and the tree said, sighing, really, it was very pleasant when the lively little mice sat around and listened while I told them stories. But now that's over too. Perhaps I should think of the time when I shall be taken out of here. But when would that happen? Well, it happened one morning when the servants came to tidy up the attic. The boxes were set aside, the tree was brought out and thrown rather roughly on the floor. Then a servant dragged it off downstairs, where there was daylight once more. Now life begins again, exclaimed the tree. It felt the fresh air, the first sunbeams, and there it was, out in the yard. Everything happened so quickly that the tree forgot to think of itself. There was so much to see around. The yard opened on a ground full of flowers. The roses were so fragrant and pretty, hanging over a little trellis. The lime trees were in blossom, and the swallows flew about saying, Quiver, my love has come home. But it was not the fir tree they meant. Now I'm really going to live, said the tree joyfully, stretching out its branches wide. Alas, they were dry, withered and yellow, and it was lying in a corner among weeds and nettles. The golden star was still fastened to its top, and it glittered in the bright sunlight. Some of the merry children who had danced so gaily around the tree at Christmas were playing in the yard. One of the little ones ran up and tore off the golden star. Look what was left on the ugly old fir tree, he cried, and stamped on the branches so that they crackled under his feet. Bad move. That's not how you treat trees, whether they're alive or dead, right? And the tree looked at all the splendor and beauty of the flowers in the garden, and then looked at itself and wished that it had been left lying in the dark corner of the attic. It thought of its fresh green youth in the woods, of the merry Christmas Eve, and of all the little mice who had listened so happily to the story of Humpty Dumpty. Too late, thought the discarded tree. If only I had enjoyed them while I could still. Now all is over and gone. And a servant came and cut the tree into small pieces. There was quite a stack of them. A huge fire blazed up, and the logs flickered brightly under a great copper vat. The tree sighed deeply, and each sigh was like a pistol shot. The children who were playing there ran up and sat in front of the fire, gazing at it and crying, Piff, puff, bang. But for each crack, which was really a sigh, the tree was thinking of a summer's day in the forest, or of a star-filled winter's night there. And it thought of Christmas Eve, and of course Humpty Dumpty, which was the only story it had heard or could tell. And then the tree became a heap of ashes. The children played on in the garden, and the youngest had on his breast the golden star which the tree had worn on the happiest evenings of its life. Now that was the past, and the tree had passed away, and the story too ended and done with. And that's the way with all stories. Wow. What do you think is the message of the fir tree? I think it's kind of telling you that you need to stay in the present. You need to enjoy what you have at hand. And there's no real point in thinking about how others are doing, what the future holds, or what was in the past. If you don't enjoy what you have at hand right now, you're just going to lose it. So have fun, kids. Go out and play. I'll see you next time.